Okay, is everybody ready to go? Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'll remind you we are being televised live on the MLB Network as well as being streamed live on Astros.com. Very special day. The way it will go, Dusty will say a few words, and then Jim, and then Dana. Then we'll open it up to questions for Dusty. But without further ado, I'll turn it over to the skipper, Dusty Baker.
Well, good morning. Just want to say thanks for coming. See a lot of people that really treated me great while I was here in Houston, with truth and honesty. And it was probably the quickest 4 years I've ever spent in my life. But that's what happens when you're winning, and when you're losing, it can be the longest 3 or 4 years. It feel like a decade in a short period of time. And this is what this organization was about. They were winning when I got here. They were winning while I was here, and I wish them well after I leave. And I've been a number of places, and the one thing that I try to do, I'm very conscious of, is that the place I'm leaving from is in better shape and condition than when I got there. And I hope that we're in better shape now than when I got here. Even though we were in great shape then. And I want to really thank, Jim Crane for, having the faith in me. And, this happened in a short period of time. I mean, this is as quick a hiring and getting to work as I've ever been. But I love this town. I've always loved this town. I love my players, the training staff. The guys upstairs helped us out tremendously, to prepare us for each and every game. But the players play and the coaches coach. And without the players performing the way they did, there's no way that we could have achieved this excellence for such a, long period of time. So I just want to say thank you. Retiring from the field here in Houston, I haven't made up my mind yet what I'm going to do or where I'm going to go. First, I'm going to go home, talk to my daughter that thinks that she's my mother, and spend some time with my grandkids and let the Lord tell me where to go and what to do, with my life. And I still feel like I haven't done what I'm supposed to do in life, so I feel the Lord has some great things ahead for me.
Okay, Jim, Mike's yours.
Yeah, just a huge thank you, Dusty, from not only the staff, the entire organization, all the players, all our fans, and really everybody in the building. You were a great example for everyone. We love you, and we'll miss you. And you came in and helped us when we needed some help, and you did a great job. And I think you were the only guy that could do that in the business. So I told you that the other day. Did a fantastic job. The record speaks for itself. He'll be missed, and I know the players will miss him. Always got a smile on his face, always got something cool to say. He's a great guy and a great friend, and thank you very much for everything you did.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Dana.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, Jim's vision for Dusty here ended up being outstanding. The fact that, this club was very successful in the 4 years that Dusty was here, just 2 games shy of the World Series. 1 game shy this year, 1 game shy in 2020, but in the World Series the other 2 years. So it's just an honor to know that Dusty Baker, I got a chance to work with him. As a child, I watched him play on TV, and just honored to be,
How old were you?
it was in the 70s, but so it's just an honor to be around such a good baseball man, with over 50 years of experience. And my younger brother grew up a Dodger fan, and, he used to always talk about Dusty Baker and the boys there in the Dodger blue and all of that stuff. Being from the East Coast, which we thought was weird, but just coming now in full circle and getting around Dusty, and, his leadership skills are outstanding. I think his greatest quality is his relationship with his players. I think he knows how to put his arm around them. I think he knows how to give them a kick when they need a kick. And I just think he's outstanding with human beings. And it's a testament to his leadership. And, you know, he's going to be missed. Dusty is just a broad, just so much information in his head sometimes. And, you know, you go downstairs and you talk to him after the game, and, you know, he's always got answers, and he'll always tell you, and he'll tell you, like, look, man, we just missed winning that game, or, you know, this happened or that happened. But, you know, he's always thinking, you know, and he's a winner. You know, most of all, he's a winner. And it's just outstanding to be around him, and he will be missed. And I appreciate everything that he did, and, you know, talking to me as just a mentor. And so it's very much appreciated. So thank you, Dusty.
Thank you, Dana. Now for Dusty, questions we have. We'll go Brian first and then Adam.
Dusty, at what point did you make this decision that this would be your last year as manager?
Well, I started, you know, this winter thinking about it. And then there were a couple instances, a couple articles, a couple of things that kind of made up my mind, you know, in late summer. And but, you know, that didn't have anything to do with tarnishing my job or anything like that, because I wanted to win, you know, the pennant and then leave. You know what I mean? And the same thing happened in San Francisco. I knew I was leaving in San Francisco, so I wanted to win, you know, and go out the door. But sometimes your plan and life's plans are two different things. But, you know, I got to the door, but I didn't quite get through the door.
Okay, Adam and then Matt.
Dusty, to Jim's point, and we've heard it a lot, that you were the perfect guy at the perfect time for this club. I wonder what this club and what this city did for you. We know what you meant to them. I wonder what Houston and the fans and the opportunity did for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, this was, you know, perhaps at that time it looked like I wasn't going to get another opportunity, because I had interviewed for the Philadelphia job right before that. And they didn't give it to me. They gave it to Joe Girardi, and my son told me that, hey, Dad, maybe the Lord didn't want you to have that job. And as it turned out, that was the best thing, you know, that happened to me. That's a tough city. This is a city that I know a lot of people. I got a lot of relatives. I got my roommate, Ralph Garr. You know, the team was good. The team was on top. The team allowed, you know, me at 70-something years old to, you know, to continue making a living. Most guys are home collecting Social Security at 70-something years old, and so, which I'm also doing. And it gave me an opportunity to win, because that is, you know, I had a couple businesses, but nothing satisfies me like the thrill of competition and the quest to win. Anybody that knows me that for a period of time know that that's first and foremost, and, you know, in my life, to try to win and try to, you know, run a race the way that I was taught in the Bible, to run the race to, you know, to win. And it gave me an opportunity to, you know, to be a champion, even though I always felt like a champion. And it gave me a chance to, you know, wear this ring, because I haven't worn my Dodger ring from '81 in probably 30 years, and fit in 30 years. But, you know, it gave me an opportunity to, you know, meet some great players, to try to influence some players' lives and their families. They influenced mine. You know, some great coaches. Some I knew, some I didn't know, and you know, to talk to the clubhouse guys, talk to the, you know, the workers around, and talk to them to see what it means for us to go another 2 weeks or a month, and them to secure their families' education or buy a house. And then some of the guys that were, you know, were married, just newly married, and got a down payment on a house, you know, and like, I mean, that's huge. I mean, I got plenty. I want more. But some of these guys don't have nothing. And this is an opportunity for them to, you know, secure their lives and never forget about, hopefully, me and the Astros.
Okay, Randy McElvoy.
Dusty, you've had a chance to manage some great players throughout the years. Specifically here in Houston, what's it meant to you to be able to manage a lot of them, but guys like Altuve, Verlander, some of these other greats that are in this on this team?
Yeah, well, I've had some greats. I've had a number of greats, but I mean, these guys are as great as it gets. You know, I mean, how do you rate great? Are there degrees of great? Are there eras of great? You know, it's you know, when I see Jordan and Altuve, you know, Pena's gonna be great. You know, like you got Michael Brantley, he's already great. You know, and so you know, the Verlanders and guys that want to be greats that are following the Verlanders. This is what I'm curious about. Like, you know, who motivates these players to greatness, but more importantly, who motivates the motivator? You know, that was a big question I've always had. Who motivates Verlander? Who motivates, you know, Altuve? It had to be somebody along the way, and now it's their turn to pass the baton to the next generation.
Okay, Matt Musil, and then Kim in the front.
Thanks, Gary. Hey, Dusty, congratulations
Thank you.
on your decision and everything ahead. I just want to ask you, when you said the other night that you reminded us, I hadn't even been home since February 10th. Some fans said to me, wait a minute, what's that guy been? I didn't realize that commitment. No, you had not been home since February 10th.
Right.
Because this is your home away from home for the last few years. I just am interested. You've told us stories, many of this coffee shop or that, but what's your best memory of off the field stuff that you've done here in
Here in
the
Houston?
area? Yeah.
Probably All-Star break a couple years ago. Went fishing with Jay Bruce and some of his homeboys, and we went fishing down in Galveston Bay. There's a town down there that I call it California version, but it's right next to, in between Baytown and Galveston, up on stilts. Somebody help me.
Bolivar Peninsula.
No. All the houses are on stilts so from the storm that. Bolivar.
Yeah, Bolivar.
And I called it Bolivar, and they didn't know what the heck I was talking about. So and we went out that day, about 60 miles out, and I get seasick. So Jay Bruce gave me a patch on my ear to sleep with that night before so I wouldn't get seasick. So we were way out 60. We caught a bunch of big old red snapper. It was beautiful. And so I called my wife, Melissa, and we were coming back in, and I said, hey, baby, those patches, they really work. She goes, really? I said, yeah, man, I didn't get sick or nothing. She goes, well, I found this patch on the pillow. Is that the patch you're talking about? And then I started getting sick.
Okay, Kim, Brandon, and then Leopoldo.
Hey, Dusty, you told us what you said to the guys after the last game. Do you remember what you said when you first got here with the task in front of you, what you said or what you thought about what you needed to do, what you were walking into? Do you remember that?
Not really. I just told him that I really thank God for this opportunity that I didn't think I was going to get. And but I really didn't know what I was walking into. I really didn't have a clue. But you know, I'm not afraid of the unknown. And so, you know, if you got faith, you figure you can handle it. And I figure I can handle anything because being a former Marine and from my dad making me do things that I didn't want to do, and Mom, I figure I could handle whatever was coming. I didn't know that it was going to be. The hardest part was the COVID part, dealing with COVID. That was the toughest. that actually helped the situation because we didn't have to feel the wrath of the fans until the next year, you know, which some of it might have subsided at that time. But, you know, that was the toughest part, you know, and then the interruption from spring training. And, but I had experience with that, with the interruption in spring training in '94, the strike, and also in '81, the interruption. So a lot of these things that permitted me to try to explain to the players and explain to myself, I've been through that before, and sometimes you got to call upon lessons that happened before in your life in order to deal, you know, with them today.
Okay, Brandon, and then Leopoldo.
Dusty, congratulations on retirement. You mentioned earlier in your opening comments that, you know, even after all this time, you're not sure that you've still done whatever it is that you're called to do. I'm just curious if you've thought over the last couple of days or whenever you made this decision, if you thought on what maybe that is. I mean, you've done a lot, so
Well,
what do you think that might be?
I don't feel like I've done nothing, to tell you the truth. You know, 'cause I went to Hank Aaron's funeral, and all these people were talking about how Hank had contributed and helped out their college education and how he had, you know, affected this life and that life. And I came back home and told my wife, I don't feel like I've done anything, you know. And so, like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be good, whatever it is. I believe that. And, you know, try to, you know, have influence on some youth and just whatever direction that I'm sent, I got to go. Because, see, all my life, most of my plans don't work out, you know. I didn't want to play baseball. I wanted to play basketball. I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to go to the Marines. I didn't want to do any of this stuff that I didn't want to do. It was, Dusty's plan was totally different than this plan that they had for me. But you know, all of a sudden, some of the best things. Actually, I was knocked over the head on a couple of these things. You know what I'm saying? You know, I wasn't called hard head for nothing by my dad, but I've learned to try to not have as hard a head and just go where you're sent versus go where you want to go. And so I'm just going to go where I'm sent. I mean, sometimes I don't know where I'm going, and all the time you got to pray on it and ask for direction, you know. But if you trust that direction that you and the message that you get, you'll be going in the right direction.
Okay, Leopoldo, then Matt, and then Francisco.
Dusty, as a man with a powerful message, what has been the biggest achievement into this missionary field called MLB?
Well, I guess it would be the people that influenced me coming up. And the people that influenced me were unbelievable. I mean, when I drop names, and I'm not just name dropping, I'm telling the truth. You know, from Hank Aaron to Bill Walsh to Al Addles to Bo Schembecker to my dad to this guy to that guy, and I just feel an obligation to, well, see, I was gonna go home. I mean, I was kind of mad at the world when I got through playing, like a lot of African Americans and Latins are, because there aren't jobs really, and so I was gonna go home. And then my dad told me that all the people that you met, it's not up to you to take with you and possess what they gave you. It's up to you to pass it on to somebody else. So that's what I've tried to do, you know, pass it on, and the game will only perpetuate itself and get better if we continue to pass it on, because whatever it is, knowledge or wisdom or whatever it is, or money, it's not ours to possess, because you can't take it with you. So you gotta pass it on.
Dusty,
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. But, you know, I learned from Hank, and I learned from, really from Buck O'Neill. Because, I mean, those guys had a whole bunch to be mad and bitter about, but Buck used to tell me, he said, hey, man, bitterness don't do nothing but eat you up, you know? And vengeance is somebody else, because see, some of those people won't have good luck. I certainly believe that, and I've seen that in my life, that the people that mistreat people, my mom used to tell me all the time, God don't like ugly. And I don't know if y'all ever heard that before, but he does not like ugly. So I'm trying not to be ugly.
Okay, Matt Kawahara and Francisco. Just time for a couple more.
Hi, Dusty. Although you don't know what's next for you, would you like to stay involved in baseball in some capacity?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I just don't know when and where exactly. You know, when I got a son in MLB, you know, if I got a son in MLB, you know, I gotta go watch him play. The one thing I'm gonna miss is him being my roommate in spring training. And, you know, he's gonna miss those free meals from me. You know what I mean? But it's time for him to be a man now, you know? My dad taught me how to be a man, and I taught him, you know, how to be a man. And, yeah, like I said, I just told you that knowledge and wisdom that was given to me is not yours to take and go hide away with it. So, you know, I may not be a professor like the doc and some of these people, but you know, I'm a teacher, and a teacher teaches and a coach coaches.
Okay, just a couple more for Dusty. We got Francisco and then Nate and then Ari.
Here we go.
Mi amigo. As an immigrant, as a journalist, and on behalf of all my Spanish-speaking colleagues, thank you. Thank you because you always treat us with dignity and give us the time and give you the effort of answering your questions in Spanish. And believe me, it meant the world for all of us. At least it meant for me. And not to lose tradition in Spanish, please. What would you miss most about this game that gave you so much and that has changed so much since you were a rookie and today in 24?
Probablemente a la gente, los peloteros. Y cuando el juego, pensando eso de competición, y también especialmente los peloteros latinos. Ellos están mis amigos, mis niños, y yo juego en México, Puerto Rico y Venezuela, y mi cuñado también está de Colombia, y la gente, todo, y exactamente a los fanáticos cuando nosotros ganamos. Nada, how you say, compares. Nadie compare de esto.
Okay. Just for Dusty, two more. We got Nate and then Ari. That's all we have time for Dusty.
Dusty, congratulations on your retirement.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance before or after to kind of reflect back to your career, to where you are now, even going back to Hank Aaron?
No, not yet. Because, like, see, baseball doesn't end to me until World Series is over every year. And, you know, I can't reflect. You know, I talked to a couple of my former coaches this morning. I talked to Mike Maddox in Texas. I had him in Washington. I talked to Brent Strom, you know, from here. And so baseball ends, the season ends when not only when I go home, but it ends when the World Series is over. Last out of the World Series, then I can get into football. And I'm a big football fan. But the epitome of a good baseball season is if I can go start watching football halfway and I don't know who's doing great and who's doing poorly. You know, it's just like to me, baseball doesn't start until the last out of the Super Bowl. And that's not the last out, the last play of the Super Bowl. So when I get home, you know, I'm working in my garden or doing something around the house, I'll start thinking about things.
Okay, all right.
Dusty, you mentioned how you're a teacher, you're a competitor, you love winning, and you're wearing the World Series ring today. Now that you've had a year to reflect on winning a championship as a manager, what did that mean to you that you were able to get it done as a player and that you were able to get it done part of teaching the game?
Well, it means a lot to me. I was still disappointed by that, fulfilling my promise of winning 2 in a row. You know what I mean? I got to get over that first because I don't like to make promises that I can't keep. And, you know, I wasn't lying when I said I wanted to do the Cito Gaston. I haven't talked Cito yet. And, you know, it takes me a while to get over losses, you know. It don't take me no time to get over victories. It's going to the next victory. But it takes me a little time to, you know, get out of losses. After tough losses, you don't feel like getting up in the morning. You got to make yourself get up, you know what I mean, and say life goes on. So I'll let you know in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Dusty. We only have a couple more minutes. We'll take a couple for Jim and Dana. Does anybody have a question? Chandler, you can go first.
Jim, do you have a timeline for having the next manager in place, and how involved will you be in that search along with Dana?
We've just started working on it. I mean, we've only had a day, so we'll work on it quickly, and Dana and I do the work, and hopefully we can find someone. Be tough to replace Dusty, but we'll have a fluid search and work as fast as we can to get somebody in place.
Brian?
Is there any specific qualities you were looking for in a manager this time around?
We really haven't gone into that. I mean, really today is about Dusty. We'll get back to you on what's going to happen next, but you know, Dana's done a great job so far, and you know, we've got things really running well in the back office, and so I don't think it'll take us very long to find someone that will fit in well with us. But right now, congratulations to Dusty, and again, thank you very much.
Okay, one last for Jerome in the back there.
I know, Jim, when you met Dusty, you didn't know much, you didn't know him. You met him and you're like, this is the guy kind of immediately. 4 years later, what are your thoughts on his job and what he did? And
well, I don't think we ever had an argument, did we?
It's hard to argue with the boss.
I sat with him when I first met him. About 30 minutes, I thought he was my best friend. So it wasn't a hard decision. He's very personable and very engaging and a great human being. And, you know, that always turns into someone that can manage and treat people right and get results. And, you know, he did an unbelievable job. I mean, what more could you ask for on that run for those 4 years is very incredible. Might not be done again for a while. So, again, hats off to Dusty. Whatever he wants to do, he's always welcome here.
Okay, before we wrap up, I did want to say one thing on behalf of my staff. Dusty, thank you so much for everything that you gave us. Dusty's 4 years, I got more requests for him than any player we've ever had. So he's just a popular guy. Just all your the way you treated us, we really appreciate it, and your patience with all the requests and everything else. And it's been an honor. I've been in baseball 34 years. You are definitely one of my highlights. So thank you very much. Let's have a round of applause for Dusty.